Thanks so much for your time. I am Pius Kojo Baka, and to that big story we are learning, cocoa farmers are looking forward to an increase in the farmgate price of their harvest by almost 45% for the 2024-2025 crop season. This comes after cocoa price was increased by 58%, translating into 33,120 cedis per metric ton in April for the rest of the 2023 and 2024 season. Meantime, the Ghana Civil Society Cocoa Platform is asking Cocoa Board to announce a farmgate price that is compelling and competitive within the sub-region to motivate cocoa farmers. Obed Obusu Adai is the co-coordinator of the Ghana Civil Society Cocoa Platform.
Well, just as we stated in our press statement last week, we have looked at the numbers. We know the Cocoa Board is in a very difficult position. Actually, we don't envy them at all because we are seeing our production levels go down while the price is going up. And they have been running at a loss for several years, and this would have been the appropriate season to make up for some of the lost revenues. But unfortunately, farmers are also demanding higher prices, not because we just want to demand, but we are looking at our neighbors. When you go to Togo right now, Togo is paying not less than 7,000 per bag. 7,000 Ghana cedis per bag. When you go to Nigeria, you go to Cameroon, you go to Madagascar, they are all paying not less than 8,000 Ghana cedis for a bag of cocoa. But we know that our situation is different from that of those African countries because in our case, Cocoa Board supports us with certain services that we are required to pay for. And so we understand. But looking at the numbers, we think that the worst, and please, listen to my words very carefully. The worst that we are expecting from Cocoa Board will be 3,500. They can do better. We can go up to 4,000, 5,000. But the worst we are expecting is 3,500. If the government doesn't announce that.
Okay, appears Obed is frozen there. Don't know if we can have him back.
All right, so we have our eyes and, of course, ears at Cocoa Board to bring you the very latest in relation to the farmgate price yet to be announced by Cocoa Board. And, of course, as and when we do have the very latest, we shall bring it to you. But let's get into the phone lines and speak to the president of the Concerned Farmers Association, Nana Obuade Obuatengbo, for some quick discussion on this as we await the announcement of the farmgate price. Thanks so much, Nana, for joining us on Business Live. Now, cocoa farmers generally are expecting a quantum leap in farmgate price of their harvest by almost 45% for the crop season. Why so?
Thank you very much. You forgot to add the title, Summer Dinner, right?
Very well.
Good. Other farmers, not only with the concerned farmers, but then we have different groups of farmers which are also raising price rates like 4,000, 5,000, 7,000, and others also are talking of 6,000 cedis. But for now, we are waiting for Cocoa Board to come out with their price for we to see how we can also bargain, or maybe to tell them that maybe this price is, they have to at least add a little bit to it, or maybe to do something about it. But looking at also the intervention and other things Cocoa Board is also doing, when you compare Ghana price and then you compare Ivory Coast and other countries, other cocoa-growing countries, it differs. All because at the end of the day, the kind of intervention that we get, they don't have it. You know, Cocoa Board has a whole lot of intervention that we have been doing for with the farmers. So at the end of the day, they put all inside and then give us a price. So for now, last week, Friday, we met the CEO of Cocoa Board, not only with the concerned farmers, but all the FGOs, the cocoa cooperatives, and then farm-based other organizations we met. And then Dr. Boyne Edu explained a whole lot of things to us for us to understand that the price just don't come just in like that. It takes some time, and then at the end of the day, too, there are a whole lot of other interventions and other things before they can also get to know that this is the price that we are buying. And then also, it is not a spot price that is taken, but for now, things have changed. So we are now waiting for the new price. Now that Cocoa Board is now going to refinance themselves to purchase cocoa, we are waiting for the price before we can also do what, come out with what we are supposed to do.
All right, so Nana, help me understand, how will this new price, whether increase whatsoever, will compensate farmers for their labor and, of course, and also curtail the smuggling of the bean to other countries?
Well, with our survey and our report submitted, and the report that the feedback that we got was there are a lot of interventions that the cocoa board has put in place also to help the cocoa farmers for them to enjoy this very season so far as the price is being concerned. So that's what I'm saying, that we are just waiting for the price for them to mention it before we can also come in to see that, well, what cocoa board told us was true, or maybe they are just lying to us. But I believe that at the end of the day, the price will be a price that will favor some of the farmers for which to enjoy this.
And how significant will that be for the income of cocoa farmers, for example?
Well, that is what I'm saying, that others were raising 4,000, 3,500, others were raising 6,000, others were raising other amounts. So I can't say that maybe this is what we need or this is what we want. To the other price and the interventions and the things that has got into it. And now that cocoa board broke, and then they are doing trade financing for them to raise money for themselves to buy their cocoa. This is not money that they have been borrowing from outside to purchase. This is something that they have been generating to raise it. So we are waiting for the price before we can also come in with our interventions and things that we think maybe it will be better for the farmers.
Farmer General Nana Obuadi-Abuatimbo, the president of the Concerned Farmers Association, thank you so much for joining us on Business Live. And we want to stay a while longer within the agricultural value chain because the 2024 Africa Food Systems Forum is spotlighting an urgent need to harness the continent's youth and women to drive economic development through sustainable and innovative food systems. Speaking in an interview with Joy Business, the technical advisor to the Minister for Food and Agriculture, George Boahin Oduro, highlighted the need to support farmers to access cheap finance to accelerate food security and economic development.
2024 Africa Food Systems Summit in Rwanda aims to redefine Africa's agricultural future. This year's summit was on the theme, Innovate, Accelerate, Scale Up. Technical advisor to the Minister for Food and Agriculture in Ghana, George Boahin Oduro, urged African government to increase budget allocations to the agri sector.
Every country is spending about 0.6% of their budget, as has been directed by the ECOWAS as 10%. That means every country is doing a shortfall of about 5.4. Instead of 10%, we are doing 4.6, which is not enough for the continent to achieve what exactly we want to do. So the advice is that the continent or the countries should do their best and up their spending on agriculture to the tune of about 10%, as has been stated already.
Dr. Kweku Asante is a research scientist with the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research at the Cross Research Institute.
Input reduction is a major concern in Africa because the amount of chemicals that we have, the chemical load in our food value chain is becoming worrying, and to the point that some products get rejected on the international market. Means that we need to be careful with the amount of inputs that go into our food value chains.
Managing Director for DMT Collateral Management, Paul Minla, emphasized the crucial role of collateral management policies in supporting farmers.
What we'll do through the collateral management model is that it will enable them to access the funds for them to be able to have to look outside the normal traditional system to be able to scale up what we want to do on the African continent. And that is why this whole collateral management has to be looked at so that we can help our small-scale farmers to be able to access credit and scale up the production that we all want in terms of yields, in terms of the inputs, and in terms of post-harvest.
The forum brought together a diverse group of stakeholders, including world leaders, investors, and farmer organizations.
Away from the agri sector, the co-chair of the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Mantel, has cautioned that Ghana's oil industry may grind to a halt if successive governments fail to attract more investments. Well, this comes on the back of the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative 2021 and 2022 report, which indicates that the 3 oil fields produced $55 million barrel of crude oil, lower than the 2020 figure of 66 million barrels by 17.7%. Now, speaking to Joy Business, Dr. Mantel said that the inability to bring new projects on stream is partly a reason for the consistent decline in oil production in the last 4 years.
In a race And the race is to capture whatever opportunities in the renewable energy sector. So there's a lot of investments available, both in the EU and elsewhere. And so if you are a country that does not position itself to seize the investment opportunities in the renewable energy sector, you lose out, especially when you also at the same time not attracting investments into your fossil fuel. I've always maintained the point, and that is my own conviction, that God must be a Ghanaian. Because look, he gave us oil, we abused it. Prior to oil, we had gold, we abused it. Now we are talking energy transition. And 6 of the critical minerals that we need as a country to transition are found here in this country.
More within the space, the price of crude oil has dropped below $70 per barrel for the first time since December 2021. But will this have an impact on consumers, and what would that mean for consumers in Ghana?
Oil price has been on the rise in recent times, inching up to $81 per barrel. However, it has been on a downward trend, hitting a new level. Bloomberg, for instance, quoted $69 per barrel just a few hours ago. This development can be likened to the disappointing economic data from China, which will impact demand for crude oil in the coming months. Also, the Organization of Oil-Producing Countries' attempts to manipulate the market through production cuts may have backfired. Some market watchers have told Joy Business that the country could witness further reductions in the coming days. This may significantly impact the prices of finished petroleum products, potentially resulting in reduction at the pumps if the trend is sustained.
You're still watching Business Live. We are back with more stories. Please stay. Welcome back to Business Live. Ghana and 2 other African countries account for more than half of trade within the region. That's according to the New World Trade Organization report. George Biafe has the rest of the story.
Coming on the back of a recent report released by the World Trade Organization in 2023, which showed that Ghana accounted for more than 5% of trade within the region, and this is the highest among countries on the continent. However, in the 2024 report, which tracked developments in 2022, it showed that when it comes to trade done through the various digital platforms, Ghana, Morocco, and South Africa were the dominant players. The report showed that Ghana and these countries command the space since 2015 and has seen some significant growth over the years. Another interesting development is that Ghana and these other countries' growth even surpassed the global average.
The Sustainable Ocean Plan is expected to be completed by 2025. That's according to Dr. Felix Adoyobo, advisor and project lead at the Sustainable Development Goals Advisory Unit of the Office of the President. The plan is expected to ensure a framework which will ensure sustainable marine management by protecting Ghana's marine and coastal resources. Addressing the media at the Second National Consultative Forum on Sustainable Ocean Plan, Dr. Yobo called for immediate action to address all forms of marine pollution, including galamsey. Here's a report.
Solved marine border issues as well as illegal and unregulated fishing activities continue to hamper the fisheries industry. The Sustainable Ocean Plan is expected to ensure proper marine management by protecting Ghana's marine and coastal resources. To advance this mission, the Sustainable Development Goals Advisory Unit of the Office of the President, together with the National Development Planning Commission, the World Bank and other partners, organized the Ghana SOP Stakeholders Engagement Forum. Addressing the media on the sidelines of the 2-day national consultative session, Dr. Felix Adoyobo, project lead at the Ghana Sustainable Ocean Plan, shed more light on what necessitated the plan.
The damage we cause into the ocean, and then also the flip side, the untapped economic potential in the ocean that we've literally allowing to go waste. So it's a two-pronged approach. We're protecting the ocean. We're ensuring that the productive ability of the ocean is stepped up, and that will boost prosperity.
On the issue of the effect of galamsey and other activities polluting water bodies, he explained that immediate action will be required to combat the menace.
We do acknowledge all the different sources of pollution to the marine space, and we are tackling them. So Galamsey has become very topical. We need to address it with the relevant stakeholders, the mining companies, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the security. Everyone that has a role to play will come on board to find a holistic solution to the problem. There are also issues with plastics, which is a bigger one in the ocean space that we need to address.
He furthered that the plan is expected to be completed by the end of 2024.
Mid-September, we'll start the process of analyzing the information, doing the technical heavy lifting, and then the preparation of the document. And once that is done, we will have another round of consultations to validate the information we have into the report, and hopefully we can complete that by December 2024.
On his part, Nana Jojo Sam, president of the National Fisheries Association, called for the involvement of the fisher folk to ensure a holistic working document.
In any policy formulation from the scratch, involve the fishers so we can understand the issues and buy into the idea. That's the only way you can get things done properly. But you think, oh, fishermen, as for fishermen, you go and do it in Accra, Jubilee House, where you have the committee on SOP, where there's no fisherman, and then you bring it down, we'll tell you that, I'm sorry.
Business news, there are growing fears that Ghana may become more indebted to China in the wake of the Beijing's announcement of additional credits worth $51 billion to Africa. China remains the largest bilateral creditor to Ghana, with the country's debt accumulating to $1.9 billion, a situation which is prompting calls for government to take immediate steps to wean the economy off its dependence on China. However, the China-Africa Center for Policy and Advisory says China's dealings with Ghana have solely been based on economic interest and not a debt trap, as been speculated by critics. Head of our Diplomatic Affairs Desk, Blessed Suga, has more in the following report.
The 2024 Forum for China-Africa Cooperation has wrapped up in Beijing, with China's President Xi Jinping pledging additional financial aid of $50 billion United States dollars to African countries. The credit line is deemed crucial for Ghana, which is currently grappling with the sovereign debt crisis and looking forward to the likes of Beijing for more support.
We also value very, very much our relations with China. There have been strong relations for over 60 years. In fact, I think that we're one of the first countries in Africa to have established diplomatic relations with China. And ever since then, we have counted on you as one of our most reliable friends.
But there is growing scrutiny of China's economic assistance to Ghana. While critics lay claim to a possibility of a Chinese debt trap, the China-Africa Center, a civil group based in Accra, says the credit line could be an alternative or a complementary line to Ghana's bailout program with the International Monetary Fund.
It is about finding partners that understand our development journey, that are willing to commit and be a part of the solution that we are seeking for as a country. So if we find in those situations that China can play a part, then why not? We can engage China to build those kind of projects. So there's no iota of truth. In fact, the Ghana example, when you look at our total external debt as of 2022, about $30 billion. Out of the $30 billion, China's own in there is about $1.9 billion, which is about 6%. So if China owes about 6% of our total external debt, how then can we conclude that because of that 6%, and we are in debt crisis, therefore China is the cause of that? It cannot be.
China is currently supporting Ghana with its district's road improvement program DRIP, a usual trend of Beijing's investment in critical infrastructure. This, the Africa-China Center says, is necessary for Ghana and Africa's development.
China's engagement in Africa is purely economic interest. That is what China is doing. It's purely based on economic interest. And economic interest means that when money goes, money has to come back. So there's no way China will take their taxpayers' money and just dole it out to countries that they know cannot pay, and they confiscate their assets. To do what? To then resell those assets to get their money back? No. These are all projects that are viable, that they discuss at various levels. Africa's own agencies are involved in the discussion. Sometimes some of the projects that are even discussed under debt trap diplomacy, you can see there's an element of Africa and European and Chinese companies all coming together to build those kind of projects.
In the years to come, China hopes to modernize Africa through its strategic partnership programs with Ghana and other nations across the continent. Blessed Sugan's report for Joy News, Accra.
International Standards Organization ISO firm Go Compliance Solutions has expressed worry over the lack of government's commitment to implement safety policies in various schools and learning facilities across the country. According to the Chief Executive, James Kwesi, it is for stakeholders to move away from solely making revenue from these centers to prioritizing safety and avoiding violence in schools. He's been speaking to Joy Business at a safety forum here in Accra. Here's a report.
The protocols, as required by the International Standards Organization, are essential for businesses and institutions operating in all sectors of the economy. However, Ghana is lagging behind in implementing safety policies in learning facilities and schools due to low interest from stakeholders and government. The Safety Forum, organized by Go Compliance Solutions and its partners, aim to create awareness about safety policies and meeting global standards. Speaking to journalists after addressing the forum, James Kwesi, Chief Executive of Go Compliance Solutions, called on the government and stakeholders to implement safety policies and prioritize safety over revenue.
Some safety systems implementation in schools, the culture, how do we even admit our students, what processes or what criteria, what are we looking out for, what screenings do we do, how do we bring these people in. It is a major concern because our schools are beginning to look more like a revenue or profit venture, okay? And the focus of transforming the youth into better leaders, we are beginning to lose that focus. So the training we will do, and then we'll look at also the implementation of some quality and safety cultures in the schools, which we are committed to do.
Speaking at the event, Dr. Violet Makuku, Director of Global Quality Assurance Association, charged leaders to take action to end violence in schools and various institutions.
It's no longer safe for children in schools. Those who are not innocent, sometimes they find themselves amidst these violent environments. You find the kind of games that they are playing in schools. Those who are perpetrators are actually rewarded. But Go Compliance and the Global Quality Assurance Association are saying that we need to stop the violence from the teachers to the school heads, to the directors, and at national level. Something should be done to stop this violence which is going along in schools.
Go Compliance Solutions is seeking support to embark on safety campaigns in various schools and learning centers across the country.
I truly appreciate your time watching Business Live with me, Pius Kojo Baka. We have more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Demand pressure eases, but CD depreciates slowly. $1 equals 16 cedis, 35 pesos. Also on that portal, our government records 74.65 billion cedis as revenue and grants in half year 2024. More stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. See you at 8 p.m. with Prime Business.